You're listening to the D.O.P.E Experience with Romby Bryant, Javiar Collins, and Salvador Vergara. Our conversations revolve around people looking to evolve and transform into the next phase of their lives. We're here to help them navigate this journey by developing one's perspective every day. Gentlemen, good afternoon. We are finally here, live and kicking. After all these months of discussing it, it is nice to see all of our work come to fruition.
Yes, it became a reality. Good to see you guys.
Reality indeed.
A lot. We have a lot to cover. We have a lot's going on in the world. Man, first we were hit. The world was shocked with COVID, and then a lot of people in the world were shocked. Not everybody, but a lot of people in the world were shocked what came after COVID, and that we're seeing play out now. So, man, I'm happy. I'm excited. This is a long time coming. A lot of work and research and our efforts, man. And man, I'm just happy to be here with y'all. How you doing, Romby?
I'm doing good. Yeah, it has been a lot of work and research. You know, you and I, we went to SMU, and that's pretty much where we kind of came up with this idea. Got our masters, became executive coaches, and you know, that's how we came up with this whole idea of wanting to give people a different perspective on things.
Well, that's
we met our good friend Sal. I'll go ahead.
No, that's a good point, because a different perspective is exactly what is needed, because the world is different. The world is no longer the world we knew, and the world to come is not the world we know now. So a different perspective. Yeah, Sal, why don't you go ahead and break down the title?
Well, the D.O.P.E Experience, you know, we collectively wanted to be part of this show as an extension of what our conversations are when we're together. We all bring very diverse backgrounds. I'm the only non-athlete on the show. And we've got different backgrounds. We've got different experiences in life that we can bring to the table. And it's clear that we subscribe to the same basic tenets of life. I think we respect ourselves. We respect others. We respect our faith. We love our family and our friends. And we've got a genuine desire to help people. And I think that's the essence of our friendship and the spirit of the show. And thank you for inviting me to contribute to expanding and conveying those perspectives. And D.O.P.E, it's a slang vernacular that all of us use at some point. And Romby and Javiar and I came up with something that I think really embodies that idea of conveying and articulating those different perspectives, developing one's perspective every day. And that's something that we aspire to in our daily lives. And it not necessarily be business, but just life in general. And I think this is an amalgamation of different ideas that we all come up with to be able to share those ideas and impress upon people some of the things that we think about and how to approach things.
Yeah, definitely. And, you know, I had football that kind of helped me because, you know, I was a bit sheltered. I didn't leave Oklahoma. And Oklahoma is a little backwards when it comes to certain things. And I only saw things, you know, with the lifestyle I grew up. I mean, I can kind of get into my story on that. You know, I was born in Oklahoma City. My mom was a drug user. My daddy was a dope dealer. Funny, dope dealer. And they didn't raise me. I was raised by my aunt and uncle. And my grandparents kind of just took care of me financially. But early on, I took an ACE assessment. And the ACE assessment is what they call adverse childhood experience. And if you score a 4 or higher, you consider a high risk. I scored an 8. So if you went by the numbers and statistics, I'm not supposed to be here. I wasn't supposed to make it to football or make it to college, play professional football, because they said people that score a 4 or higher are less likely to graduate high school or more likely to be a felon and have several health issues. And I don't have any of those. I'm not a felony. I mean, I'm not a felon. Obviously, I graduated high school. I have my master's. And I went on to play professional football. But the thing about that, football was my identity. So when I transitioned from football, it was tough. So just imagine any profession you've done 20 years or longer. And we started playing football. I don't know about Javier, but I started playing football when I was in the third grade, and I was good. So I identified with football and with the lifestyle that I live. That was my way of getting recognition and dealing with the pain. Right, football kept me out of trouble and kept me in school to where I wouldn't be in the streets doing what I wasn't supposed to do. But it also opened up my eyes to different things. Like I lived in 4 different states here. I lived in 3 different cities in Canada, and I lived in Germany. So I got to see a lot of different things, been around a lot of different demographics, and seen several play with several different type of players to where I was exposed to a lot more than the average person, and that kind of changed my perspective on things. Like I mentioned earlier, I if I would stay in Oklahoma and didn't do anything, I guarantee I would just been this. I would been in trouble. I would ended up like my father, and I ended up a statistic. But transitioning to the real world was the hardest thing I had to do, and I wasn't prepared. And that's where this show kind of came around, is to help. How can Javier, people like me, Javier, and you, Sal, help players or help anybody transition from one job to another, or just any type of transition in life, and give them a different perspective to that when it comes to corporate America. So that's a bit of my story. And
Absolutely,
yeah,
absolutely. This, as you mentioned, this experience, this time that we spend with each other, conversating, is underlined by that transition, and it's not always defined as a typical work transition or a role transition in life, but it's also embodies more of an evolution, right? Bringing oneself from one state into another, right? Dope is developing one's perspective every day. So you and I, Romby, we've connected on a number of times. Sal, you and I have connected on a number of times. All of us have connected on that uh, a shared goal or a shared vision on that mission, and that mission of development and what that takes. So yeah, all things transitionary in these conversations. So for me, man, I'm originally was raised in Twin Cities, rest in power, George Floyd. I grew up on the St. Paul side of things, where my mother was from. I wasn't born in St. Paul. I was born in San Francisco, California, but I was definitely raised in St. Paul in the north. Um, and yeah, just growing up in a single parent household. My mom, raising two boys, myself and my older brother, it's hard living. It's not easy. A lot of challenges. And early in my life, I gravitated and clung to sports. I um, uh, determined or decided or even discovered at a very young age that I had, like you, Rambi, I had some athletic talent. You could see it early. You really couldn't speak to it, but you knew it was there. And thankfully, I was able to see that talent, and thankfully, I was able to realize that. And thankfully, I had the grace bestowed upon me of having people early in my life that could help feed that and nurture that, and get myself in situations to where that could grow. So a transition has really been my life story through sports. Spending all of my early childhood development playing sports, being in that team dynamic, being in a competitive environment, middle school, high school, college, and eventually I was thankful enough to continue my sports experience professionally, which was a very eye-opening and enriching experience. So, but yeah, that lended itself to a lot of the perspectives and a lot of the things that we're going to talk about through this platform, and a lot of the things that even help to bring this platform to fruition. So, as you alluded to, Romby, once the sport is over, it's it's a whole different formula, right? It's almost like starting back at square one and having to figure everything out uh, without any instructions, without any instruction manual. And um, so a lot of people, a lot of men and women facing that situation uh, have have experienced the challenges and difficulties with doing that. But there is a way. There is a way, and we're going to talk about a lot of that. So currently, man, go figure. I am a marketing professional, marketing and branding professional. So I am now trained to help others impact their own story and leverage that story in discovering and displaying how they want to show up in the world. So I'm super excited to get this show on the road. I'm glad we're finally here. As we spoke to earlier, a lot of work and effort has gone into this, and it's finally here. So Sal, why don't you round us off and tell our good listeners about yourself?
Sure. First off, I've never admitted this to you guys in public or even in private, but thinking about just a year ago when we met through a mutual colleague, I geeked out. I mean, I told my wife, I'm like, who would have thought in a year that I'm hanging out with two professional athletes? And that just never entered my mind that I would ever get to this point of being friends with you guys. And so I'm geeked out inside. You guys don't see it very often, but speaking of,
you hold it well.
I appreciate that. Speaking of different perspectives, my parents are immigrants from the Philippines. So I'm Filipino and I'm Asian. And so this whole idea that you guys brought up of developing one's perspective every day really resonated with me. And after the birth of my sister in Seattle, where my dad was helping design the 747 and 737s with Boeing, that's how they came over to the States. They moved to LA, and eventually they moved to Pascagoula, Mississippi, where I was actually born. I was born here in the South. And he helped develop and design amphibious warships for the Navy. And so I wasn't even a year old. They moved to Houston, and I've lived here in Texas for the past 47 years. And so, I'm a proud Texas Aggie graduate of 1994. I'm a husband. I'm a son. I'm a brother to a wonderful sister. I'm a funkle, a fun uncle to my. I'm a daddy to fur babies. I'm a godfather to great kids and a loyal friend. And so prior to this current career that I have now, I was actually a mortgage banker for 14 years. And then I took the proverbial leap of faith. I think I told you guys this when we first met in 2008 when the mortgage industry imploded. I was managing the state of California for my last mortgage company. I took a leap of faith into the HR, recruiting, and talent acquisition space. 12 years later, I'm doing what I'm doing now, working for a national HR consulting firm. And this is really kind of the evolution of not only my life and my career, but it's brought me to meeting you guys. And now I'm podcasting with you guys. So we actually met, like I alluded to, through a mutual colleague, I guess a year ago, and we've developed a really strong friendship. It's predicated, I think, on the common desire to help those who seek guidance and support. I think when I first met you guys, you proactively, I didn't even ask the question, but you guys proactively said, we want to just help people. It's not about the money. It's not about recognition. You genuinely want to help people. And in my role here at my company, I genuinely philanthropically want to inspire people and help them in many different ways, not only from a business perspective, but also in life. And so this is, like you said, Javier, a great platform to do that. Each of us have different perspectives and different backgrounds. I think that we can combine. We're not always going to obviously agree, but I think that's the great and beautiful thing when we talked about it, that the concept of the show is to provide those different perspectives and have people kind of think about, raise questions and kind of question on their own what their perspectives are. So I'm happy to be here. Certainly, we've got a lot of, as we've talked about, great plans for future guests and great topics. So it's inspirational to me, and I appreciate being part of this team.
No doubt,
Me too.
Sal. Just real quick before we continue, did you say fur babies?
Yeah, I noticed that too.
Can you break that down for us?
That's another way. It's another way of saying pets. But yes, sir, I said fur babies.
Okay. What kind of pets do you have?
We actually have a cat. His name is Dude Cat. Actually on his tag it says Dude Cat. And we have 3 dogs. They're all Chihuahuas. I'm a small dog guy. I like to carry them around with me.
No doubt.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
Their names are
I'm a
Aggie,
dog lover.
Brittany Ears, and then Christina Wagulera. Those are
So Aggie, where did that
As in-
come from?
I don't know, maybe the school that I went to.
Hey, what school was that?
Oh, there's a school?
There we go.
Cool.
I was just waiting for that. Here we
What
go.
school was that? Huh?
I'll be Texas A&M University in College Station, home of the Texas Aggies. Fighting Texas Aggie class in 1994.
Oh, okay.
Work it down for him, Sal. That's how you do it.
You got to write that
Do
down.
they have a football team?
I think so.
Oh.
They do one these days.
Oh, okay. Some of the players like to do this, huh?
Yes, sir. Years ago, but,
Yeah.
Texas A&M stand up, no doubt.
Yeah. You know what I just realized is I'm delivering and selling dope just like my dad, but in a different way, right?
it is you are.
Yeah.
Putting that.
Yeah.
LinkedIn profile, by the way. Be
Yeah, no, right? I'm a dope dealer.
authentic.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you know, our next show is about code switching. So, I mean, maybe I'll bring that up in the next show.
I think so. I think impactfully, or thematically, I should say, I think we want our listeners to leave with, actionable ideas to help further their development of perspectives, so they can enact new ways of approaching things in their own journey. So it could be their attitude, it could be their strategy, it could be the way they network. And I think we all collectively also want to help our audiences differentiate themselves, but also encourage them to inspire others. I think that's what we also want to do as well.
Yeah, that's ultimately what we want to do. In today's world, if you just get on social media, Facebook, you see people are just stuck in their ways, stuck on their position, and they don't want to see it from somebody else's perspective. So, and that's why we're here, because you're influencer within the HR community. Javier, you're the vice president of the PA. I'm the vice president of the alumni. So we're a bit of influencers within the former player, not industry, but fraternity of brothers or whatever. So just trying to help everybody just see things from a different perspective, just so they can really it can be a better world, better corporate world for everybody.
Absolutely.
It's a transformational inspiration to folks. And I use the word transformation rather than in transition, simply because I think it's a lot more positive. And you are technically transforming your life, both personally and professionally. It could be going to another job or going to another relationship. But transition and transformation, I think, are interchangeable, and hopefully people will see and get inspired by some of the conversations we have.
That's right.
Yeah.
So, it's all about evolving, right? It's all about bringing yourself wherever you're at, meeting yourself wherever you are at, and being intentional about that transformation or that evolution to a higher or more progressive state, man. And especially now in today's climate, with this current scene that we all have access to outside our windows and through our device screens, and the world is going through its own transformation, its own evolution. And so now is a time for people to look within, to impact themselves, so they can be impactful for the new world that is to come. Wherever we get there, we're going to get there. It's working itself out, and it's coming. So very important dialogue, very important concepts that we're touching on. And hopefully it's just helpful. We have a lot of things planned for our viewers, and just want to be a value add. We want to hear feedback from what our viewers and listeners are getting from our conversations, and we want to hear that feedback so that we can further evolve and transform ourselves and this platform that we're utilizing. So those things are important as well. Real talk.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, I think we're all excited to get this platform off the ground. This is a great start. Certainly, again, blessed to be part of the group and exchanging ideas here. We've got some great shows coming up with some great guests, and I'm looking forward to the subsequent shows that we're going to be producing.
Just so you know, every episode we want to leave the listener and the viewer with something that they can use actually, something tangible and something that they can use conceptually, right? Whether it's inspiration or whether it's motivation. So, especially in this environment now, right? People, men, women, time is now, right? Time is now to cling to each other, to look to each other for support, to look to each other and care for each other. This is what our world needs right now, is a whole bunch of human beings caring for each other. And here at the Dope Experience, we believe that sharing is caring. So we want to share with you some resources, one each. We'll keep it short, of something that you can dive into at your leisure. Who wants to set it off for today?
I'll go first.
Okay.
Yeah, and my bad. I almost forgot about the most important thing. Uh,
Yeah, I got your back.
yeah, so a book I recommend that I read, and I read it in at SMU in one of our programs, Dr. Bonner. We had to read it for one of his classes, and it's called the Leadership Pipeline: How to Build Leadership Powered Companies. And I wish I would have read that while I was playing football, because it tells you about every level from a low level manager all the way up to the CEO, what to expect, what to look for, and how to be a better leader, and how to develop leaders. That's why they call it the pipeline, how to develop leaders to grow within your company. So I would recommend that anybody that's trying to grow within their company, might be a hypo. My wife, she read the book and loved it. She read it to prepare for an interview, and she read it while she'd been in her hypo program. And she refers to it because, like I said, it tackles every level in corporate America. So it's
Nice.
called the pipeline, the leadership pipeline.
What's the author again?
I don't know the author. I was looking for the book, but I have the title,
Is
but I
that
don't know the
Jacko?
author. No, it's not Jocko.
Okay.
No, not Jocko Willett. But yeah, Dichotomy of Leadership, Extreme Ownership, and those books, those are great books as well.
Awesome. I'll go second here. Mine is Leading with Gratitude by Adrian Bostic and a new friend of mine, Chester Elton, both authors. Chester is an executive leadership coach. He and I connected a few months ago, and he sent me a copy of his book. Like Romby's, it does impact the way people lead. It literally is leading with gratitude and changing your mindset. It's effective and it's applicable for high potential leaders, leaders who are currently in seat now and want to optimize and change the way they approach leadership in a much more gratifying way. So lots of examples in there. It's an accumulation of different studies and different interviews they've had with different companies across different verticals and corporations and industries. So Leading with Gratitude, Adrian Gostick and Chester Elton.
Very good. Very good. And that's I think that's Ram Charan, by the way.
Yeah, yep. Ram. Yeah, that's who it
Okay.
is.
Okay. So last but not least, the book I'm gonna drop for you today is called Managing Transitions, and that's by William Bridges. And personally, for me, this is one that, like Romby had alluded to, I definitely wish that I would have read this when my football career as a player was coming to an end. Um, So what I like about it is that while he frames the conversation in a organizational corporate type of setting, there are tons of principles and tools that the reader can use that do not have to be applied to a traditional organizational or corporation setting. I really appreciate that. Just allow the book to sort of meet you wherever you're at. If you decide to consume it, and what I like about it as well is that it gives a real tangible formula framework, breaking it down to a science, gamifying a transition. So take out all the guesswork, take out all the mystical information, and just give you exactly what you need to get you exactly where you want to go. So that's Managing Transitions by William Bridges.
William Bridges.
Good. William Bridges. All right. I think I read that book in organizational change management. I'll have to go look at my syllabi, see my syllabus and see.
Yeah.
I think I read that book.
I think it wasn't.
Was that were did you have to read that for one of your classes at SMU?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm pretty sure.
That's where I first learned about it.
Yeah.
But it's interesting.
Well,
you mentioned going, SMU. That's my second time going back. And it's just having going through the college process once, during the college process age, and then circling back, going through it again. That is a whole another eye-opening experience. That, man, we can probably do a show about that, right? Going back to school.
Yeah.
And what that
having to sit in class. Like having to sit in class with 19 and 20-year-olds.
Right.
And here I am.
Right.
When I started school, I was 38.
Right.
Yeah. So, yeah.
You were a young man. And like me too, man. I'm in my late 30s as well, man. So
I'm in my mid to late 30s. That's what I like to say, mid to late 30s. Yeah.
Y'all don't want to know how old I am, so we'll skip.
Hey, Sal.
So
Texas A&M, is it a 2-year college?
No, I think that it's a 4-year degree.
Okay.
It's new though.
All right.
It's new.
So you do not look a day over 41.
I appreciate it. It's called short hair color.
Oh man, you kidding?
Whataburger and Dunkin' Donuts, a good dosage of that. That helps as well.
Helps keep you young.
You've been keeping up with the clean shave during the quarantine. As you can see, I'm proud of my quarantine.
I couldn't get to you guys. It would take me about 8-10 months to get something even close to that. So I didn't want to compete.
No doubt. Okay. We appreciate that.
Sure, not a problem.
Yeah. All right. Well, it looks like we're coming to an end. So to our listeners, now it's time for you to go be dope and give hope. Y'all take care.
See y'all next time.
Thanks for tuning in to this episode of the D.O.P.E Experience. Our hope is that you're left with a new perspective to formulate a blueprint of growth and transformation. Make sure you subscribe to us on Spotify or wherever you consume podcasts. Stay dope.